Hello and welcome to my art update podcast thingy. This is update number 71. Hours slip away because there are not enough hours in a day. This podcast is designed to keep people who know me, Andrew Woolner, up to date about what's going on for me, artistically speaking. Some life updates might get rolled into that because, sometimes these things just, they need context, but if you know me, you're welcome here. You don't need also to feel obliged to listen. Or you can listen to just, whatever you want. That's fine. It's just for people who are interested. I'm not trying to go viral with this. This is personal. This is so I can get something done every week. I am not going to hard sell anybody on this. I've got other things I've got to try to get people to sign on to. This is not one of them. If you don't know me, you're also, of course, welcome to listen. This might not make a lot of sense. You might be missing context. If you're just joining now, you might want to check out episodes 1, 2, and 52. Those will bring you up to date on what I've been doing with my life over the past 20 some odd years. I'd stick with maybe just those and advise against binging. You can, like I said, you can maybe dip in here and there if you're interested in sort of knowing what this is about. I used to do a lot more sort of art stuff at the beginning of each episode. I'd occasionally do like a poem or something. It's been a while though. It's been a while. I haven't been able to produce anything like that for a while. Don't binge. It's not designed to be consumed that way. Just, these little short updates. Okay. So let's get into it. Like a lot of my life, I'm having highs and lows. I mean, not lows. I mean, lows would be, everything falling apart and things are only in the normal state of decay and disorganization. My biggest problem right now is I don't have enough hours, as I alluded to in the title, enough hours in my day to get everything done. And as if to symbolize that, 2 of the clocks in my house stopped today. And it's weird because they're both really different. One's battery powered and the other is like a wind-up clock with a pendulum. For those of you who remember, I may have mentioned this back in April. This clock came back from the dead. It was basically, it's a resurrection story. I guess in time for Easter, it was a resurrection story. The clock coming back from the dead, much like religious figures. Okay, why don't I just get into the updates? YTG updates. So we're into week 2 of rehearsals. More people have joined. This week we added Anna. She also left this week. She was actually just from a local high school, and she was just with us for 2 days. And we added Claire. I'm having a little bit of trouble slotting Claire in because she's much more focused on the management side. I mean, she's participating and everything's going well, but I think the process is maybe a little disorienting, the kind of process that we do. So we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. We had a chat yesterday. We'll have another chat probably next week. So I just want to make sure that she does the kinds of things that she wants to do while she's here to make her internship worthwhile. That's always my concern. It's not like, yes, I like to keep people happy because I care about whether people are happy, but really I want to make sure that people accomplish what they came to Japan to accomplish. Right? If I'm going to be saying yes to all these people coming here, I've got to do something for them. Yeah. Okay. So, Monique, the movement instructor, was away this week. We were expecting her to be away on Wednesday, but not on Monday. But it all worked out fine. Monday, Clara, the theater maker from Portugal, one of 2 theater makers from Portugal, but she's the one who studied directing. She's done a lot of devised theater making in the past. Anyway, she ran the rehearsal and we did some devising and playing with scenes in the afternoon. We realized doing this, I say we, I mean sort of Clara and I realized doing this, that a lot of the group members don't have a lot of experience doing non-literal work, and they kind of go into, so a lot of times we'll set up a scenario, and I generally tell people not to speak because a lot of times if you do that, you get people just talking heads, and they'll be like, there's this thing, and I think I talked about this before, that when you are devising, you want to make sure that when you're on stage, you're a performer, and then you're only a writer when you're not actively performing. Because what happens is, and this happens when you get like young people, especially doing improv, they will try to explain everything. They'll essentially try to write the scene, right? If you say, okay, this person's holding a basketball, you need to get that ball from them, and they'll come up and go, oh, my grandfather's dying, la 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 la, and they'll make this whole story, and it's like they're not focusing on the action, which is what or like how they're trying to use. And in real life, we try to use our words. This is why this happens. But in theater, but especially the kind of theater I make and the YTG makes, you're thinking like, what are physical impulses? You want people to start following their physical impulses and figuring out how to make people react in the way they need them to without having to create some, huge backstory. Anyway, so what happens is when you take the words away, sometimes people will go into sort of basically kind of pantomime. And so we had a lot of that this week. So that was interesting. But that means that now we know, I know what to talk to Monique about. No, that didn't make any sense. I have spoken to Monique or emailed Monique about what we need. And one of the things we need is just working more, doing more sort of abstract movements that connect to impulses and stuff like that. We did a little bit of that last week. Everybody in the group is capable of it. But as soon as like you drop them into a place where there's possibly where they think there could be a character, then they go into that other mode. So it's a matter of getting them out of their head. That's all. Yeah. So, where was I? Right. And then Flavia on that Monday afternoon, we worked through some of her ideas that she'd come up with. She came up with a like sort of a set of scenes back in the winter when we were doing just meetings about the show online, a few of us. And so we tried out some of her scenes. I did a lot of dying on Monday afternoon. I kept playing people who died or who were like really thirsty, or I think I died like 3 times. It was intense. It was intense. Wednesday AM, we went to the YTG storage container. I really just wanted to make sure everyone knows where it is so that I don't have to go with people the first time that everybody has to go. And then if we need to get something from there, basically anyone who's here at this point knows where it is. Because obviously next month, some of these people are going to swap out and there'll be new people coming, but I want like the majority of the group to know where it is and to know, how to get in and all that stuff. Yeah. But the best part is that, so Clara and Flavia got excited after they saw the clothes. I mentioned offhand, like, I really need to organize it and I want to put it in boxes. And they actually got excited. And this is unusual. Usually, like, people who come to do performance and directing do not get excited about organizing things. But they're like, oh, yeah, we want to, like, this is an interesting project to organize the costume stuff. So it looks, now we'll see, depends on how busy things get, but we'll see. This might mean that this project gets done or at least started this summer. There's a bunch of steps to it. We've got to find, which database program we're going to use. And like, if it's something we have to pay for, how much is it going to cost? And then we have to work out which day people are going to come in to do that. We have to transport the costumes from the storage unit to the theater and then back again, because there's a lot of them. But if we do this right, I'm hoping that the dance school will let us use our system for their costumes as well, which would be really good because they'd be more organized. Maybe we could throw out some stuff. And then maybe we can at some point combine our storage so YTG doesn't have to keep paying for this storage unit. But anyway, that just made me really happy that they were into that. I was like, oh yes, because this is a project I want to do, but I can't do it by myself. Yeah. Anyway, so after that, we got back to the space. We set up our safe word for the summer. So we started doing this. I mean, we did it last year, but this was a suggestion from Judy Ito, who's the intimacy director. She was the director on the Antigone project 5 years ago, and then since then she studied and become an intimacy director. And we talked about this. We talked about this when we worked with her, I think last summer, and again on the Consent project last December, about setting a safe word for the company. I think they use a different term in intimacy direction. I like to use safe word. They don't like to use it because it's like very sexualized. It's used a lot in the BDSM community. But I'm like, actually, I think we should detach it from that. Like, it should be. I think it's a universal. I think safe word is universal. It's well understood, and I would like to. I don't think it needs. I don't think that baggage is a problem. I don't think it's baggage. So we're calling it a safe word. And we decided our safe word for the summer is bungalow. One of the keys is that it has to be a word that is not going to come up in conversation. The common one people use is button. But last year we didn't use that because we were doing a show that potentially had Victorian costuming. So I thought buttons might be something that would come up in dialogue, but also in like rehearsal in general. So bungalow, not likely to come up in the show. And then we worked on some more ideas that afternoon, mostly centered around archetypal family relationships. So I don't know if I've talked about that before. It's something I picked up in theater school and directing class. We had one instructor, I think it was David Rotenberg, who was one of the things he talked to us about was sort of archetypal relationships. So not literal relationships, but archetypal relationships like father-son, mother-daughter, father-daughter, mother-son, and then the sibling relationships. Like, so they're archetypal, so they're very gendered, and I'm not sure how I feel about that, but they're one useful tool if you need to quickly create a relationship between two characters on stage. So we worked through that, and we did some exercise related to those. Claire came up with an idea, and then we applied the archetypal relationships to her scene idea. Yeah, so that's what we did. That's what we did this week. I'm going into a lot of detail. If you really don't like me going into this much detail about the YTG rehearsals, do let me know. I'm also posting a little bit about them on the website, probably. I think I'll post week by week if I can, but I will go probably into less detail on the written post, and that's mostly to sort of showcase the photos and to give a more broad update. All right. Nerd Night. Nerd Night is next Friday. If you need a ticket for if you need a ticket for the in-person one, let me know. But if you need a ticket for the online one, let me know. That'll be happening. The show will start at 8 p.m. Friday, Japan time. So that'll be 7 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and 3 hours earlier if you're on the West Coast of North America. And other than that, you're going to have to figure out your time zone yourself. And you can watch it after the fact, but if you want to watch it live, that's the timing. And the live stream is actually free. There's an optional donation thing, but it's free. And you can, And if you're broke or something and you need a ticket to the live show, do let me know. In July, we're going to be in a new venue, so this will probably come up again. We're going back to Tokyo for the first time since 2020 for the July show. And yeah, that's going to be interesting. And I've also said this before, I really want to ditch our current ticket provider. They just charge so much on top of, like, the processing fees for Stripe are decent. They're like, we pay between 40 to 60 yen per transaction, usually less than 50 yen per transaction for Stripe on a 1,000 yen purchase. So that's like 30-40 cents on a $10 purchase. But then the platform fees get added on, and it's almost 200. It's usually like 160 to 200 yen, and that's really high. And yeah, and it would be just cheaper if we just had people buy directly on Stripe without the problem is that the event management part is kind of important, and that's what the platforms do. And so I spent all day today. I've done this before, but I did it again. I spent all day sort of looking at plugins. I found one that was affordable, and it was basically free for the features that we needed. But then I set it up and it just didn't work. Like, I think it's incompatible with the theme on the website, and I can't change the theme on the website for the benefit of the ticket thing. So I'll have to come up with some idea, because I don't want to pay for a plugin. I don't mind paying for a plugin, but I don't want to pay an annual subscription for a plugin that has a lot of features I don't need, that I have to do a lot of upkeep on. Like, if it's free, then I don't mind the upkeep. If I have to pay, then it starts getting into the price range where it might actually be cheaper to pay, especially with our low amount of of income from the ticketing. Like, so it's not something that's happening every week. It's happening for Nerd Night's happening every month, and there's only about like $200. Actually, it's less coming in. It's usually about $50 coming in online for that. And so throughout the year, that's not much money. And then we have like one or two shows a year where we raise about like $1,000, like 100,000 yen through that. So yeah. So just trying to figure out so it might be worth, paying the higher fees to have things like, the things that the event management thing handles are the emails that go out to the people watching. So if you've booked a certain time, like an hour before, you'll get an alert for the live stream that it's going to happen. So that kind of thing. Anyway, still figuring that. I burnt a big chunk of today doing that because I thought I had it figured out, at least for Nerd Night. But I have to do it for the main show as well. Right now, we're raising money for the main show just through the donation page, and it's not show specific, and people have donated money, but I'd like them to feel like the money really, because it is, I want them to feel like their money is going to the show, not the current campaign we've got up. Okay, anyway, blah, 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 blah. Audio projects. Okay, so I think a month or two ago, I mentioned the audio project yesterday. I think actually I might have mentioned it a couple of weeks ago when I found someone I could cast in one of those roles. But finally, Anna Murray and I coordinated and were able to actually meet online yesterday. Just to refresh your memory, in case you're just joining us, Anna is the incredible sound designer and composer who worked on the first two YTG pandemic shows. So that's Wuthering Heights and The Peony Lantern. And she's one of those people you don't meet all that often in your life where like, I can say something completely artsy-fartsy and sort of describe something, and then she can come back with something that basically matches what I said. I don't know how she does it. It's like, yeah, creatively, we're in two completely different sort of art forms, but we're somehow in sync. So I was able to, so it was nice to catch up with her because I miss chatting with her. And I was able to bring up the yesterday project, which is the audio project I want to do. This local woman who's written a script about the 1960s and her going to see the Beatles concert and student revolts and stuff like that. And it's not great as a stage play. I think we could make a great audio project out of it, but there's no way to do it without. I can't think of anyone else who could make this happen the way I kind of imagine it happening. Yeah. So anyway, so we talked about that. Work's really not gonna start on this until October. But I just wanted to give you an update that things are slowly moving forward on that. All right. No major photography updates this week. I was planning to attend an online seminar last night about how to sell photos. So that's more for like the photos, like not just landscape, but like art photos. So the photos I've taken, and then people might want to buy prints, right? In the end, the seminar, it was supposed to be at like 3 a.m. or something ridiculous like that because it was in North America. And they didn't send me the confirmation link before I went to bed, so I just didn't bother getting up. And in the morning, I was just able to watch the recording. And I'm kind of glad because it ended up being a complete bait and switch. But, over the course of the 2 hours of baiting and switching, there were a couple interesting things that the guy said that I think I might be able to put to use in terms of selling photos, but also selling other types of my own work. He talked a lot about how the story behind an artwork is important. And then there's a certain sort of like arc that story, like that makes a good story, that at least not a good story, but the kind of story that people connect to. Then of course he suggested running it through AI. And at that point he lost me because I'm like, barf. But yeah. Okay. Moving on. The Be the Audience project. It is still in soft launch. And I think, like I said last time, I'm going to have to go to people one by one, and that is terrifying. I'm thinking about making maybe the mailing list the port of call and just asking people to join the mailing list. So making a separate page where they can just do that. And then the mailing list, of course, has buttons for people to support me. And through that, they can go and find the page. I don't know. I'm thinking about it. It's so hard to ask. It's so hard to ask for money, even from people who have it, because you just don't know. I don't want anyone giving me money for whom that's not going to be a joyous experience. You know, who I don't want anyone doing it because they feel an obligation or they feel like I've harassed them to the point where they have to do it. I think even if I could do it by bugging people until they just gave in, I don't think I would. That goes counter to the spirit of the project. So it's just getting the guts to like approach people and mention it to them and just add, hey, you know, if supporting me and helping me say yes to other people would bring you joy, then you should do that. It's hard. It's hard. I still haven't sort of figured out how to approach people without just being, because these days everybody is grinding, right? Not everybody, but so many people, like every time everything is just like, ugh. I haven't lost my train of thought. I'm just there's just so many thoughts came in at once. I'm having trouble putting them into words. But, you know, everybody is hustling. And this isn't a hustle for me. This is important, and it's, dare I say, existential to some degree in terms of my life being able to continue as it is. And hopefully this will be a good story one day about how this succeeded. But right now it's really hard because it's existential, but it's not a hustle. I don't want to hustle people. I don't want to. This is something we should be entering into as a joyous partnership together, right? This is me wanting to work for the people whose opinion matters most to me and whose like attention matters most to me. And it's so flipped. Like, I used to care about strangers, you know, connecting with my work. And now, I mean, that's great. I don't have a problem with that, but and, you know, the social media has sort of ruined the ability to share stuff with people, you know. It used to enable it, and then it, you know, it's been shitified and doesn't do that anymore. And that's what I care about. Like, I want people to see what I'm doing, and I want them to share the joy of the creation process with me. I mean, that's why in like a way I'm recording this update podcast. Anyway, I don't want this to go completely off the rails. This isn't a like, oh me, oh my moment, but it's just, I'm still just trying to figure this out. I'm trying to figure this out. Like, you know, I saw that guy on that call, and he's like that photo seminar, and he's just such a hustler. And I don't think I could become that person, you know. I don't think I could do that. Anyway, all right. Well, that's it for this week. More theater updates for you next week. Things are rolling, so I'm gonna have good updates for the next little while while we work on this, until the point where I'm recording this on my phone in a rehearsal and in like production week, which is what always happens. Okay. Anyway, have a great week. Talk to you next time. Andrew out.